Right now, you ask me what is a list comprehension. So a list comprehension is a Pythonic way of doing things, which, let's say we have usernames list. Okay, this username list. Let me just cut these things out. Okay, so we have this list, and here let's say that if we want to collect just the name which are starting with I, okay, we have to do something like for every element in this username list, I will ask if this I is equal to the element of its first index, which basically means when I'm for every element, let's say for this element, I will get element, this is element, I will get first index of the string is list2, so I will get 0 index and I will receive the first letter, and the first letter here is I. Okay, if it's I want to collect the starting with I names list. Okay, and this will be an empty list, and if it's correct I will say starting with I names list dot append this element. Okay, and if I go here and say after that print this list, you'll see here all the elements are starting with the letter I, but should be more easier way, right? Here I don't have this, so right now I'm going to show you how you can do these things in one row. So for this is list comprehension. For starting a list comprehension, you need these square brackets. Inside these square brackets, you need to write your for statement, iterating through every element of the list. So basically what I'm doing, I'm saying in these square brackets for every element in username list. Okay, so here I have a syntax error because it is expecting something. And here in Python, we get this element in front of this for, and we're doing a bunch of stuff with it. Okay, so right now we need to say what this will be going on right now. Just for seeing what is happening now, if I print that out, that means I have copied this list. Okay, so starting with names list, I will remove that. It's basically the same as username list, because this, what this does is, okay, for every element append in this list. So for every iteration, get this element and return it to the list. After that, for the second element, get this element and return it to the list. So this is what we have done so far. But here in this example, we have a condition, right? And here is the surprise. In list comprehension, you can use lambda functions, if and else operator, dictionary comprehension inside list comprehension, and so on and so on. It's very useful, and it is just in one row. So right now, we're going to see what will happen if we want to use this if statement in list comprehension. Okay, so here we have to specify our condition. So this is remain the following. Okay, but now I have to say the condition, and again it is in one row. So I'm writing this part right now. Okay, so this element here will be returned or append or whatever if it matches some condition. So right now, if this element of 0 is equal to I, and right now if I start that, I will get the exact same result as here. Okay, so don't be surprised, don't be affected by list comprehension, because list comprehension will be very easy for you, and you will prefer to write them when you get used to them. In order to get used to them, you have to practice, and everything you're writing, you have you have to ask yourself, okay, how can I write that with list comprehension? Okay, so let me show you another example. Let's say that here I'm just going to comment that out and say, okay, here I have a list. Let's say instead of doing this, I want to say, okay, I want to write a function, okay, a simple function, which will sum nums, okay, and it will receive an element here. Here, this function will say, okay, if I have element which is odd element, odd means it is not equal to 0, okay, I will append 1, so return element plus 1, okay, else I will return element plus 2, and here I will say, okay, I have nums list which will be 1, 2 and 3. Here I'm expecting to get, if it's not equal, I will have to append 1, so here I will have 2, 4 and 4, okay, so that will happen. So right now I have to do something like for element in nums list, okay, and I have to say sums nums with this element, and after that I have to say change nums, and here I have to say, okay, it is an empty list, and I will say this is my changed, okay, and I will append that to change the nums, okay, with this changed, okay, and if I go down there and say, okay, print this changed nums, okay, you will see that I'm getting this assumed result, okay. So you're asking yourself right now, how could it be more Pythonic, right? So right now I'm going to show you. Here we are going to say, okay, let's simplify this and just get this and go there, remove that. Okay, we have just 2 lines of code right now, but it's not Pythonic, so I can have a list comprehension. So the first thing is to iterating in this list comprehension, this square brackets for element in nums list. Okay, this is the first step. You're getting this syntax error, so you're going to say, okay, element is in the front of it. So right now you have 2 options. You can say, okay, I have this ready to go function, and I can just say, okay, so I'm going to use the sum nums element with this element, okay, and this is what I'm done. This is what I'm doing here, so I'm going to comment that out, and you will see here that I have the very same result. So this is a list comprehension. So right now, imagine that this function does not exist, and I have to write this if-else statements here in the list comprehension. Okay, so right now we can use this if-else here in this statement. So in Python, you will say the result you want to return if something happens. In this case, element is not, if not element equal to 0, you want to return element plus 1, right? Just like here. But else statement here is that you want to return element plus 2. And if you start that, you will notice that we have the very same result printing that. So it is a little bit more complicated, but you will get used to that. You just have to write. You just have to practice and practice and again practice, and eventually after that you will get comfortable with these list comprehensions. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video.